Good afternoon on this 8 July 2019. These might look a little surprising to some of the people that know me. This is not my normal type of knife that I make. I'm not sure where this conversation is going to go, but let me just say that I love making the knives that I make, and I'm lucky enough to have I'm not going to say how long an order list I have, but it's extensive, and I get the opportunity to make a lot of knives. Every now and then I want to make something a little different, regardless of the fancier stuff. I like, as any knife maker does, I like to have my knives on people's belts, in their backpacks, in their glove compartments, in their trucks, on campsites and hunting camps. I like them to be used. I'm a bit of a avid type of, at least an enthusiast. I don't get out as much as I would like to, but I really enjoy getting outdoors, and one of my favorite ways of doing that, two favorite ways, is traditional archery, bow hunting, and backcountry canoeing, camping, fishing. So this is a particular knife I made for myself. I got about a year of miles on this now, and what we're going to be looking at is basically I have to start differentiating between the knives I make as an American Bladesmith Society knife maker, where most of our stuff is forged from raw materials and so forth, and then there's the type of knife making where it's stock removal. You're taking a bar of steel, you're cutting and grinding away everything that doesn't look like a knife, and that's what these are. So eventually you're going to see a new etched logo of mine. It'll say Andersen Forged 2 with the Roman numeral 2 to differentiate between the Andersen forged knives and the stock removal knives. These are stock removal 1080 knives that will be known as Andersen Forged 2. So without dragging it out much longer than, and I always apologize in my videos because I don't know how to say something in a couple sentences. It usually takes me a while to get it said, so I apologize for that. My friends know that, and they put up with it. So this is a type of knife that I designed to go on a belt that's gonna get used hard. Oh, and I was gonna say, anyway, this is 1080. This is a 1080 steel that I have with a stabilized dyed and curly maple handle. Kind of get an idea of its size. It's got a clipped front end, full flat grind, and parkerized. Parkerizing is for those who don't know, is a military development that was used to stop corrosion on knives. It's a manganese phosphate finish that at a very fine microscopic level, this stuff's porous. Very, 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 very tiny porosity that will actually receive and hold oil. That's what it's designed for. So if you take a parkerized knife, or a firearm especially, and you wash it and clean it, the next thing you need to do is put oil on it. And you can literally put a couple drops of oil on, a drop or two of oil on this finish, rub it with your finger, and the oil just disappears. It's being held in the parkerized surface. But anyway, this is a knife, and these are going to be offered to at the introduction of this video. These are getting offered to my customer list. That's one of the things, the people on my customer list get things first. But these are some prototypes, and I'm going to offer one of these knives and this fine item right here to my customer list for sale. And all these things go in a Kydex sheath. I can take these two screws out of this sheath right here, and this belt loop just slides right off, and you would have just the pancake sheath, and you can slide it in your back pocket or leave it on there. It doesn't much matter. So this just show you how this works. And what you might not see is there's a little divot here. There's a divot. It's a 1-inch wheel divot right in the front of this, and then there's an indentation. Maybe this one's easier to see. An indentation. There's all three of these right in the Kydex sheath, and when that slides in there, it locks in, and that pinch is what holds this thing, holds the knife in the sheath, so it can't come out. Now, I like my knives to be used. This is a camp cleaver. This is a camp cleaver, parkerized. To give you an idea, I don't have large hands, fat and chubby, but they're not large hands. This gives you an idea the size of this cleaver. This is not designed to chop a tree down. What this is designed for is survival. It weighs 1 pound 1 ounce. This is a pretty hefty chunk of stuff, but really 1 pound 1 ounce is not a great deal of sacrifice. This can be used to build an emergency shelter. We're talking about cutting, saplings. You need to cut a pole to hold up the corner of your tarp. You need to baton through standing firewood, to split firewood for a fire. You're dressing an elk or a moose or big game. You need to cut off some. You need to quarter up a large animal. This would be perfect for all of that. This is the Andersen Forge 2 Camp Cleaver. Same way, same fit up. No reason to have a belt loop on here, because this is just gonna, for the most part, people aren't gonna wear something that weighs a pound on their belt, but it'll be in a pack, underneath your canoe seat, underneath the seat of your truck, or somewhere in your gear. So that's the beginning of these Andersen Forge 2 knives. I do think I really enjoy this knife. I like its size. I was going to show, this is not a new thing for me, or it's kind of been on the back burner for a long time. This is a knife I made myself last year. This has got a year of use on it. If you look at it from here, it looks like it's absolutely brand new. I was learning the parkerizing, and there's some things I learned about that. It's really an improvement on these later ones. But I just had this on a canoe trip, and I used it for, if you're familiar with the Solo type stoves, they're a biofuel small stove, and it just takes little. I'm going to reach right here, right here on the ground, right next to me. I'm underneath the tree. You're talking about stuff that's as big as a finger, but inside it's nice and dry. You want to split this stuff. So I use this for batoning and splitting a lot of firewood for my Solo stove. And this cleaver was sort of the product of that, because I was dealing with stuff that was too big. I also use, just for people's reference, I use it's Bahco, B-A-H-C-O, Bahco Laplander. It's a folding saw that I use for cutting firewood. I've used it to use my Bahco Laplander here at home after a storm. I had to cut my way out of my gate that locks me in here. I couldn't get out. So anyway, I use a saw to cut the big stuff, and then something like this to split it for firewood, survival, etc. Anyway, these are these knives. This is how they work. This is Andersen Forge 2. I'll be adding a larger camp knife, and maybe, I don't know, some other camp type tools that we can use in survival situations, and that might help us out in camping, so forth. So thanks for putting up with me, and I'll see you on the water one of these days in a canoe.